Okay, in this episode, I want to talk about these two words, Tože and Takže. So they both mean also, and they're pretty similar in a lot of ways, and sometimes interchangeable, but they also have their differences, and it's, a good thing to know when to use which one. So, one minor difference is that Tože is slightly colloquial, whereas Takže is slightly formal. So it's a pretty minor difference. They're interchangeable when you're talking about the meaning, so both can be used with the meaning of nie tylko no I. So not only. So when you're saying not only da da da, but also, you can use either one. So you can say Anton y Sasha, студенты. Ivan тоже, or также, студент. So another way to say that would be не только Антон и Саша, но и Иван, студенты, да. Okay, so not only are Anton and Sasha students, but also Ivan. So you can use either one, Tože or Takže. Tože is preferred when an additional subject is performing an action, a state, or an attribute, or if they have an attribute already referred to. So in this example up here, we'd probably want to say Tože, because we talk about Anton and Sasha, and then we introduce another subject, right? And he's in a similar state of being a student. So we'd prefer Tože in this case. But we could say Takže. That would also be correct. Or if we said Anton изучает историю, она тоже изучает историю. Right, so Anton studies history and Anna also studies history. So we just have an additional subject who's performing that same thing, which is studying history. So Tože is preferred in these cases. Takže, on the other hand, is necessary when providing additional or supplemental information about a single subject, i.e., when the same subject or the same dude is performing an additional action. Okay, so let's look at some examples of that. So again, we have Anton изучает историю. Он изучает также и literature, right? Литературу. So we have this guy Anton, and he's studying history, and he's also the same guy studying literature. So it's a single subject performing an additional action. So we don't care about Anna and what she studies, and we're just saying, oh, not only does he study this, but he also studies that. So you have to use Takže, must use Takže, and not Tože with кроме того meanings. And кроме того is sort of furthermore, or apart from that also. So let's see, let's look at a sentence. So we could say кроме того, Антон изучает историю. Кроме того, он изучает литературу. So furthermore, he studies literature. Okay, so now we're seeing that Takže is a little bit more flexible. You can use Takže where you can use Tože. Tože is just sometimes preferred, right? But Takže isn't forbidden. Whereas Takže can only be used when you're in this meaning of furthermore or apart from that also. So when in doubt, you're probably better off sticking with Takže. Also, do not use Tože after a, I, no, after these conjunctions, right? A, I, and no. So you can't say a Tože, but you can say a Takže. So you have to say Takže if you're using a conjunction. So Tože can usually be replaced by Takže, but Takže can't always be replaced by Tože. So those are the main differences. So let's look at a sentence or a couple sentences that sort of highlight the preferences of Tože and then how you have to use Takže. So, okay, so in these two sentences, Саша плавал, а также катался на лодке. So Sasha swam and he also sailed on his boat or rode on his boat. So we're using Takže, and we have to use Takže because we're talking about Sasha doing two different things, right? Swimming and sailing on his boat or rowing on his boat. And then in the next sentence, Олег тоже любит плавать. That would be the preferred sentence, but you could say Takže. You could say Олег также любит плавать, but you're better off saying тоже. And then let's just look at two more sentences that highlight the subtle differences between these two. Because although they seem quite similar and they are in some ways interchangeable, it's good to understand the subtle differences because they do change the meaning ever so slightly. So I'm going to write out two sentences that are going to be the exact same except for Tože and Takže. Okay, so in this sentence, он тоже выразил готовность помочь. What does that mean? So он тоже выразил готовность помочь. So let's think about the differences, right? So tože, that's what we used when we were talking about an additional subject, right? So that means that this sentence means that he also expressed a readiness or a willingness to help in addition to other people willing to help, right? So he's an additional subject who's willing to help. In this sentence, он также выразил готовность помочь. It means he also expressed a readiness to help in addition. Now it's not to other people, right? Because we use takže when we're talking about the same subject doing multiple things. So in addition to other actions, he offered. So maybe he said, oh, I can, pick someone up at the airport, or I can paint your living room. He offered lots of things, and in addition to those things, he also expressed a readiness to help. So they're kind of subtle differences, but they're definitely there, and they're good to keep in mind.